Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. So I want to start off by thanking everyone for joining us for today's webinar. Very briefly, today we'll be discussing the WFSNCC online community, which is housed on Basecamp. The purpose of Basecamp is to allow all of the consortia to share and access a number of different resources, to be able to hold some great discussions online, to engage with technical assistance providers and your designated facilitator, and also to access a very useful consortia-wide calendar. So before we get into reviewing the functionality of the site, I'm just going to go over the agenda for today's webinar. So I'm going to introduce the staff that are on today's webinar. I will go over how you log into Basecamp and then review some capabilities of the site. Then our staff person, Lucia Mendez, will review some brief reminders, and then we'll open up for Q&A. As always, you'll be able to ask questions in one of two ways. You can either raise your hand and we can unmute your line so you can talk to us, or if you prefer, you can submit a question to us, and then we will read it out loud and respond accordingly. So some brief staff introductions. As always, my name is Elissa Schildnick. I'm an Assistant Director of Programs and the resident WFSN CC Webinar MC. Also here with us is Julian Haynes, an Associate Director of Programs and Policy. And then I'm so thrilled to be able to introduce you to Lucia Mendez. She is the Assistant Director of Programs. So just very briefly, I want to let Lucia introduce herself to you all so you recognize her voice.
Hi all, as Elissa said, my name is Lucia Mendez, and I am the new Assistant Director of Programs and Policy, and will be working on WFSNCC. Thankful for the opportunity to be here with you all today, and look forward to working together in the future.
Great, thanks so much. So right off the bat, I'm going to go into talking about Basecamp. So on this slide, you'll be able to see kind of a screenshot of an example of what the invitation looks like that you all received. If you did not receive an invitation to join Basecamp, please let me know. You can email me or just feel free to chat me now to let me know you didn't receive this. I would also possibly suggest checking your spam to make sure it's not there. So it's pretty simple. You just have to click on accept this invitation, which is hyperlinked. After you click on that, it should bring you to a web page that looks like this. It allows you to create your account for Basecamp, and that is if you have not already used Basecamp for perhaps an existing initiative, or I've heard from some colleges that their departments use Basecamp. So if you have an existing account that is associated with the email that you have shared with our office, then you do not have to create a new account. However, for those who have never used Basecamp before, you want to go ahead, type in your first name, your last name. I suggest using the username as your email account that you use to correspond with our office, and then choosing a password. And then I will say, I do not have access to your account. So if at any point you forget what your password is, I unfortunately am not able to reset that for you. That's something you'll have to do, but I'm always happy to help people kind of troubleshoot that process. So it's pretty simple to set up. Once you have all this information filled in, you're going to go ahead and click on OK, let's go. So if you'll just bear with me for one quick moment, I'm going to go ahead and open up Basecamp so we can talk about the functionalities in there. So I will just add a very quick caveat that I am currently logged into my Basecamp account. My Basecamp account looks very slightly different than yours. This is kind of the home page of Basecamp once you're already logged in. You can see that I have multiple projects in here, but for all the college staff, unless you're using this for a different initiative or a department, you will only see the box that says WFSNCC colleges, and that is what Basecamp refers to as a project. So before we go ahead and jump into looking at that specific project, I want to show you some helpful hints on how to customize your account and make it most useful to you all. So what we're going to go ahead and do is you would click on at the top of the page where it says Me, and so we'll go ahead and do that. And just give me one moment. It sometimes takes a little while for it to show up on everyone's page. So now you can see my personal page. So this shows all of my activity across all of the different projects that I've been using. So we have multiple projects for the initiative. So I've been posting on the state partner project, the college project, and also for the facilitators. So I have quite a bit on here. Yours, most likely won't have any activity in there already. As I scroll down, you can also see the resources that I've uploaded, and I'll go over the resources in more detail later on in the webinar. And you can see the total number of files at the bottom. So you can always go back in case maybe you upload a resource to the Basecamp and then you can't remember where you put it in your own files. You can always go back here and find whatever you've uploaded. So very quickly, I just want to show you how you can update your personal information. So we're going to click on Update Your Personal Info. And now you can see it's populated with my name, my email. The first important thing I want to point out is that you should customize it to your own time zone. Everything that Achieving the Dream posts in Basecamp will be in Eastern time. Obviously, we have colleges in different time zones, so be sure to fix that so that the events come up for your time zone. You can also change your password here. And then the first kind of fun customization that you can do is you can go ahead and upload a photo, sort of like a Facebook profile picture. Obviously not required, but I'm going to go ahead and upload mine. So you just click on the upload button and find my beautiful headshot. And so I've chosen my headshot, and now I think it wants me to type in my password. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm not sure if that actually worked. Oh, it did work. Sorry, I had to go back to double check. So it just didn't show it on that first page. But now you can see in the small icon that my headshot now shows up. Obviously not required, but I think it's a fun way for people to be able to recognize you for the future when we have meetings. They can be like, oh, Alyssa, I know what you look like. We may not have met in person, but I've seen your picture on Basecamp. So we'll very quickly go back to that Me section. And now I want to show you how to further customize the number of emails you'll get from Basecamp. So you're going to click on your Basecamp settings. And again, you can see my email address appears. If for any reason you ever need to change the email address associated with this account, this is where you would do that. And then you also get to select your notification preferences. So currently I have mine set to get notifications from all of my projects, which you can see on their project notifications. You can also select your email frequency. So I know you all get tons of emails, many of which are from Achieving the Dream. So you might want to select to receive a summary of emails. That would be probably my suggestion, just so that maybe we have a lot of activity on one day and you don't want to get 15 emails you have to sort through. So you would go ahead and select email me a summary every few hours at most. And then some further customization. You can get a daily recap every morning. I really have appreciated having that so that I can see what I may have missed. And then you can also get an email when someone completes it to do, which we're not exactly using that feature, so you don't need to worry about that. And then again, if your preference for the calendar is to have Monday as the first day of the week, that's your own personal preference, and I leave that up to you. Okay, so now that I've gone over kind of some account features, we're going to jump right into the college project. So I'm going to go back to projects at the top, and I'm going to go ahead and click on WFSNCC colleges. And so I'm just going to start at the top to go over, some key features. So first start off, you can click on invite more people to see who else may have received the invitation to join this. A far easier way would be to just double check with our office. A few colleges have emailed me to make sure that all of their staff have been on there. And of course, we're happy to add additional people that may not have been listed. So that would be my suggestion, but of course you can check at any point here. And then catch up. So catch up shows you, if you click on that, it'll show you everything you may have missed from the week. So it's another way, perhaps you go on vacation and you haven't been on basecamp in a while and you want to see what's gone on since you've left. You can go ahead and click there and it provides you a nice little summary. And you can see just below, invite more people and catch up. It says upcoming events. So that'll give you kind of a snapshot of what's going on the next couple of weeks. And I'll go over the events calendar in a little bit more detail later, which is so that you know that's there. Again, it gives you the latest project updates at the top. So you can see it tells me that I added an event today. It says that Clint posted a message for everyone, and then a few other people that I've updated. So pretty much everything that you'll see in the updates is from me currently, but hopefully now that you all have your login, soon we'll see a lot more updates from all of you. So now I'm just going to talk about the discussion forums real quick. So you can see right now there's a discussion that I've posted about financial coaching resources, and then Clint from Nova has posted about a new financial literacy blog that they've started. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Clint's discussion so we can look at that a little bit closer. Great. So now you can see Clint's message. He posted a blog that they started, and then within that blog, a number of resources. So I was very excited to see someone so eager to post in here. And I hope you all take the chance to look through these resources after this, but just want to show you a few different ways you can engage in a discussion. So, say you've seen this message from Clint, and you look at the blog, and you're like, wow, this is great, so we're just going to post a message from Clint. So, I'm just going to post a very simple message just for the purpose of discussing it. But say I was from a college and I, had some other resources. I was like, wow, here are some additional resources you might want to add. You can go ahead and select files from your computer and upload it and continue to add to this discussion. So after you posted your message and perhaps added some materials, you're going to go ahead and scroll down, and you're going to add this comment. So now you can see my comment there. So, pretty straightforward. But again, if you have any questions about how to use the discussion feature, always feel like you can contact me or Lucia to ask us. We're happy to help you troubleshoot at any point. So next, we're going to talk about all the different resources that are uploaded. So we're going to go back to the WFSNCC Colleges page, and we're going to scroll down a little bit. And you can see this is where the files are. And if you keep scrolling, you'll see there are a total of 42 more files in this. And so when you look at this, like here at the bottom, we have one PowerPoint uploaded that is called WFSN Prototype Overview Webinar. And you can see that there is a small box that says Financial Services. So that resource has been labeled with a Financial Services tag. And if I felt like I needed to, I could add additional labels to it. So before I go into discussing these files, I want to talk a little bit about the labels so you understand kind of the thought process behind that. So in order to do that, we're going to just keep scrolling down, and you can see this text document feature. So what this text documents are is basically it's a text document that anyone with access to this Basecamp can edit. So I will say, for the purpose of this discussion, we don't want you to be editing this label directory, but you know, if there's anything you want to create kind of a group document on, you can feel free to create those. But I'm going to go ahead and click on this document so we can talk a little bit more about this master directory. So in order to kind of try to keep Basecamp as organized as possible, we have created this label directory. So you can click on this at any point to see, okay, I've clicked on this resource and it's labeled with a bundling label. What does that mean? You can go in here and see, okay, bundling. These are resources relevant to bundling, which is a core element of WFSN strategy, and any resources will be marked with that. You'll also see that client flow and student flows are also flagged under that label. So great, so that gives you a little bit of a better understanding as to what that resource might contain. I will say resources can be flagged with multiple labels, which I'll show you, but there are a number of different labels, and I won't go over all of them now, but you can, you know, take time to look at what all of them are. Okay, great. So we'll just dive a little bit deeper into these files. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the hyperlink so that we can see all of them. So there's a few different ways you can search for files. So you can search by the name. So say you were thinking, I remember that we had a webinar on student flows, and I really want to access that PowerPoint. So I'm going to start by typing in student. Great. So you'll see that the student flow webinar came up. So you can do that with just about anything you're trying to think of. And again, if you're looking for a document that you think should be on Basecamp and it's not there, always feel free to email us, or you could even post a discussion that says, hey, I was looking for XYZ document and I thought I saw it on Basecamp. I'm not sure where it is. Can someone help me out? Sure, you know, Lucy or I will be monitoring it a lot, but others might get to it even faster than we will. So another way you can search for documents, say you don't know what you're looking for, but you want to look for something relevant to financial services. So anything flagged with the label financial services would be a document relevant to that third pillar of the WFSN strategy. And you can see here at the top that this behavior change and financial education PDF is labeled with financial services. So we're going to go ahead and click on that label. And now you can see we have it sorted by the label financial services, and it's in the order of newest to oldest. So you could scroll down and see, oh, great, there's a sample budget tracker from Norwalk Community College. We have the Beyond Financial Aid webinar. So these are a number of resources that we already have pre-populated in here for you to start using, and many of you have already been using this. But the great thing is that you all can start sharing resources yourself. So I'll show you very quickly how you can upload resources. We're going to go back to that home page. We're going to scroll up really quick. And we're going to click on Add Files. And you can drag and drop into this, or you can click Select Files from your computer, or if you use Google Docs. So I have a document already prepared, so I'm going to drag and drop it in here. And this is a resource from the Department of Ed on financial capability and improving financial wellness that recently came out and has a lot of great financial aid resources in there for you all. So just because I'm lucky and I have the labels memorized, I'm going to go ahead and just type in financial services. You'll see as you start to type in the label name, because we have existing labels, will already come up. So it'll say financial services. And you'll click Add Label. And then that's the only label I'm going to add. But I'm going to click I'm done. If you ever feel like there is a label that you would like to see, but maybe it's not added, we want to definitely hear that feedback and just let us know. Either, in the next week, if you think of labels that should be in there, you can let us know either through email, or we are going to have a conference call next week, so you can feel free to let us know there. We want to make this a site that really works for you and is driven by what you want as much as we possibly can, because obviously sometimes functionalities of technology don't work for everyone. And so for the purpose of this, I'm going to select all so that everyone receives the notification that this resource has been uploaded. But say you're uploading a resource that, for example, let's say I'm from Walla Walla and I want to upload a resource about the financial products work I've been doing, and I want to share that with Skyline. So perhaps I've been talking to Heather Smith from Skyline about it. So I would go through and I would look for Heather's name. And maybe I went past it already. Well, I don't see it, but that was just the example. I know she is on here. But let's just, say I'm just going to share this resource with Abby. You could do that. My suggestion would be to share with all. We want to make this, a super inclusive community, but just so that you know that that functionality is there. So you're going to go ahead and click Add this file. And now you can see our file is there. So after you have added files, say you were like, I want to learn more about this financial capability resource, and you go ahead and click on that. Now you can see you can download this resource, which is great if you want to read through the report, or perhaps it's a template you want to use. But say you have a question you want to pose. You can go ahead and click on Discuss this file. And then, the file would be there, and you could add a comment. Or say you had some additional materials you wanted to share relevant to this particular file. You could go ahead and do that, and that functions just like the discussion forum we went over before. So I'm not going to go ahead and post a discussion there, but just so that you know that that functionality is there. And then last, I'm just going to go over the events calendar, which I know a lot of people are very excited about. So we have some events already in there. And sorry, just one second. Sometimes there's a little bit of a delay, so I want to make sure everyone is looking at the same page. So you can see here today, July 16th, we have this Basecamp webinar at 3 p.m. Again, because my settings are in Eastern time, that's how the times will appear. If you change your time zone, it should change that as well. You can see on the 22nd, we're going to have an open Basecamp conference call for anyone to ask questions, provide comments, or suggestions. So I'll just quickly show you how you can add an event, because anyone with access to this Basecamp site and this particular WFSNCC project within it can add events. So you would go ahead and say you were going to have an event next Friday. You're going to go ahead and click on it on the 24th, and you're going to add an event, and you're going to say, whatever it is, new event. And, if it's a day-long event, you don't need to put in the time, but maybe it's, at 12 o'clock. And, you could add an additional note. Maybe it's like Washington call, just as an example. And you could put in any details you want. And you could go ahead and email it to, particular people on Basecamp. Or, perhaps you have a facilitator call and you want to put that in Basecamp. I think that would be great. It's a great way for you to be able to, keep all your staff in the loop and maybe invite them on there. And then, you'd get a reminder 30 minutes before, and you can customize that to be a day before, 2 days before, and then you would go ahead and click Add Event. And now you can see we have that there. So it's pretty straightforward. We're building it out with a number of events. So if you scroll into August, August is a pretty quiet month overall. But you can see, start to move into September. You can also see it in agenda view if that's your preference. Makes it a little bit easier to scroll through pretty quickly. So you can see all the way into next year. We have the dates posted for Dream 2016. So this will hopefully help provide for better planning for your teams. And, I think this is a resource that a lot of colleges have been asking for. So we hope you find it to be very useful. So with that, I'm going to just go back to our PowerPoint real quick. And hand the floor over to Lucia to go over some quick reminders before we open up for Q&A.
Great. So as some of you guys were able to see in the calendar that Elissa was just reviewing, that we have a Basecamp conference call coming up July 22nd from 3:30 to 4:30. As Elissa stated before, this is really an open conference call. And this is just an opportunity for you all to call in and ask questions either about Basecamp, really provide feedback, or make suggestions that maybe we oversaw in building this out. So the call information is on this slide, and I'm sure we'll be sending out a reminder again next week. The other item listed is Year 1 compliance. For the original 16 colleges. That's due July 31st, 2015, and what this will be we'll just be emailing the narrative and the budget to the WFSN email address. Again, that's July 31st. And the final item on our reminders is Year 2 grant notifications. So if you haven't received them already, please be expecting them. And of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to email us.
Great, thank you. So now I'm just going to go ahead and open the floor up for any questions, comments, initial thoughts about the Basecamp or anything else. I do see already that we do have a comment that Arkansas colleges, if you are linked with the Arkansas Research Center, you have a Basecamp account established already. So thank you, Michelle Wilson, for sharing that information. She recently learned that. I will say that if Basecamp tells you you have an existing account and you don't know what the password is, I walked someone through how to reset their password. It'll just email you a link in order to reset it. And it's pretty straightforward, but if by chance you run into that, because I've had a few other people find out that they had a Basecamp account they didn't know about. So glad to hear other people are using it, but yeah. So again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and raise your hand, or you can type the question into the question pane. I know the site is pretty straightforward. There's a lot already built in there for you to start using and looking at. We hope you find it to be helpful. And again, if you have questions about something outside of the Basecamp site, if you have questions about, I know many of you are working on your narrative reports, if you have a question about that, or if you have a question about the Year 2 grant notifications that we sent you, particularly if you want to talk about any of the carryover funds. Sorry, I had a little bit of a lapse in what I was talking about. Happy to talk about that as well. I think that, so the question was asked, can we add a coaching tools and resources? I think that would be great. I could see that, you know, perhaps containing financial coaching resources, but perhaps also career coaching, because I know a few colleges are doing that, so I can add that to the list as well. So thank you, Michelle, for that. Okay, well, this will be my last call for any questions about either Basecamp or anything else. Otherwise, you have our contact information and can email us or call us at any time. So we do have a question. Is there a function to turn off the email notifications? I don't know if you, that's a great question. I don't know if you can completely turn them off. My suggestion would be, however, to not do that. I just worry that you would be missing any updates we might share in there. Although we do send them over email, my experience in using communities like this is that it can, if you don't make it a regular practice, then, you know, if you're not getting these emails constantly, you might forget about it and maybe not use it. But I'm certainly happy to look into that as to how you can turn off email notifications completely, and I will follow up with the group about that. Okay, well, if there are no further questions, I suggest you toy around with the site and see what you think about it. We want to hear your feedback. And again, you can join us next week for our conference call to share this feedback or any further questions that may develop as you start to use it. So with that, I have seen no more questions, so I will go ahead and end the webinar. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a lovely afternoon, and we'll be talking with you all soon.